Last year I set out on a quest to buy myself just something to get around town when I needed a second set of wheels beyond the press cars that I usually had. Now if you remember, I bought a Chrysler Intrepid. That thing was a wreck and I basically traded it for this Ford Focus. Now I've spent the last year more or less not doing much with it, but over the last little while at least I've been driving it quite a bit more. I bought it with 147,000 kilometers on it. I've only put about 1,400, which is nothing. I mean, I don't really drive this that much, but it has gotten a lot more over the last little while. So I've done some things to it. I mean, we talked about some of the things we've done over the last year, like going to the junkyard, getting a couple parts for it, tried to clean up the bottom parts of the rocker panels and doors that were ruined, as far as I'm concerned, by some sort of anti-rust proofing. And I know that some of you commented to say that wasn't a great job on it, and it's true, there was a lot more I could have done to make that better. But for the most part, I just wanted to kind of clean it up, make it look better, so that as I was driving it around, I wasn't as embarrassed being in it. Now, I've taken it in for service quite a few times. As you know, I don't do anything here. I don't quite have the capacity to do any major work on this car. However, I will be making some sort of announcement about that in a couple months. But the point is, the car has been pretty decent. There haven't been any major red flags. I've taken it to Yerjo Ford, my local Ford store, as they're the guys that I trust to get the car done and everything worked on. And, you know, the bills haven't been too bad. There hasn't been too much that has been, again, a red flag. I've done the oil changes. The suspension front link kit needed to be done. There was a bit of a knocking sound when I do some turns. Got the wiper blades done too, because my god, they were garbage. I don't know what were on there before. When I took it in the time before, which was almost a year ago, again, another oil change. One of the headlights burnt out. And I also did the front brake inspection, which I ended up then doing the brakes on it. I also had to replace the battery. So when I bought the car, it was using not a very good battery, and I replaced that with the one from Ford. It's a little bit more money, I get that, but it works, and I haven't had any issues with, especially with it sits. You know, it sits for a couple weeks at a time without being used, and I still have a check engine light that comes on. It's something with the emission system. I've checked it. The code is just one of those generic, you know, there's like a leak in the system somewhere codes. I haven't been able to fix or diagnose it yet, but the actual light stays on, and that's something I believe we've talked about, where in the gauge cluster area, it kind of shorts out a little bit over time. Maybe there's dust or something that gets onto the circuits and then keeps it on. And then I also bought a new key when I bought the car. So it's pretty straightforward. I asked them, you know, is there any red flags about this vehicle? Is there something that I need to be aware of? And I believe they said the last time was just one small thing. I want to say that it is, the tie rod on the right is going to be replaced soon, not right away. They said by the next time I take it in for an oil change to get that done. But you know what? It actually works pretty well. The air conditioning is sort of hit or miss. I find it works better if it's been in the garage and it was cool in there, and then I take it out, it'll kind of work. But if it's been sitting outside in the heat, not so much. Aside from that though, you know, there's like a little bit of a squealing sound from probably one of the belts when it starts up in the morning. That's been okay for the most part. So, I mean, I've been pretty impressed with it. It works out pretty well for not really a daily driver, but as sort of a winter beater, kind of beater car to get things done and go around. So I want to take it on the road. I want to talk about a little bit more about how my opinion about this vehicle, at least, has changed over the time I've owned it, and kind of give you an idea of how I feel about it today, about a full year and a bit after buying it. Yeah, here's the thing. When I bought this car about 14 months ago, I had envisioned myself driving the revolutionary cab-forward Chrysler Intrepid. That's what I wanted. I really wanted that car. And in fact, I wasn't even looking at other cars when I was in the market, because I just wanted that. I thought, you know what, it was always a car that I really liked. I'm going to find one. I'm going to make it work. And that was a terrible idea. So when I got this, you know, it wasn't really the car I wanted, because the Chrysler was it. And then this was kind of what I was stuck with. So you can come up with whatever analogies you want. You know, you dance with the one that brought you or whatever. It's not the one that brought me though, but it is the one that I have. And you know what? It's worked out pretty well. The first couple times I drove it long distance, like, I mean, when we filmed it, the 2 times I think I've done it, the original time that I bought the car, then we did sort of like an episode of test drive on it, it was really just like around town. I think the furthest I went was, up into Drummondville, which is about 40 kilometers, so about 80 kilometers round trip. That was about it. So I haven't really done too much with it until now. The weeks that I go to pick up stuff in Montreal, it's about 100 kilometers. So, putting on a little bit more mileage, as I mentioned, about 1,400 kilometers. It's not great. What's the dollar amount of what I've spent on the maintenance? Yeah, it's certainly an important number too. It's been about $1,000. Sure, there's some things that I could have skipped out on, i.e. the new key. That was about $100 or so plus tax, but it is good to have two keys with your car. If you lose one or it breaks, somehow it breaks off, you don't have a key anymore, you kind of need it. So I wanted to buy a second key. That wasn't a big deal. And again, the battery, is it more expensive than if you go to a third-party place? Sure, why not? But I have a warranty with it, and I know where to take it to get serviced. So I'm quite content with it. The service as well has been good at my Ford dealer. But, the thing that I want to kind of mention is there is still quite a lot of, I want to say, like, shaming when it comes to the car community, the car world out there. If you don't buy the right car that all the enthusiasts like, or you don't buy a manual transmission, then you're going to get shamed. You don't do your oil changes, you're going to get shamed. Well, I want to tell you, you shouldn't feel that way. I know that there will be people out there who are going to do that, and there's nothing that anybody can do to stop that. But don't feel embarrassed by not going with the flow of the rest of the enthusiast community, because just do what you enjoy, do what you can do what makes sense for your life. That's why I just take the car in for service. I can't do it myself at this point, and there's no shame in that. So don't worry, I'm giving you permission. Uncle Niall here says it's okay to do whatever you have to do to get things done. But I've been pretty happy with this little car. Air conditioning is working right now. It's probably also because it's kind of cool out. We just came off of a pretty major heat wave here in Quebec, and it's actually been pretty nice today. So yeah, it drives well. Is it the best driving car I've ever driven? Absolutely not. It's one of the things I mentioned when we featured the 1996 Oldsmobile LSS a few weeks ago. I drove this car to drop off and pick it up and come home with it, and I gotta say that it was 10 years older than this, and it felt fantastic on the road. This thing, not so much. This being newer, it's a basic car, right? It's a little compact hatch sedan, wagon, whatever you bought. It's not meant to be overly good, but it does work for what you're getting out of it. The thing is, at this price point, you're looking at about $1,000 Canadian, at least for one of these, at the lower end, kind of rougher. And then I have seen some that are in better shape that people are trying to get about $3,000, $4,000 for. So depends on what you're ultimately looking for out of a vehicle. It's gonna work. And like I said, this one has worked too. Every time I take it out, I always think, okay, am I gonna get stuck on the road? It's never done that. The engine works very well. It's pretty smooth for a 15-year-old car that doesn't have a whole lot of power. Transmission too, it's always one of the sore spots when it comes to older Fords, is the transmissions aren't super good, but this one's been fine. Everything about it has actually worked out surprisingly well. Is it a car that I would necessarily recommend? I think it's going to come down to your market. Here in Quebec, we get a lot of snow, and thus we get a lot of, we're supposed to get a lot of winterization of the roads, i.e. road salt, which ends up destroying the cars, the undersides specifically. So here in Quebec, maybe not so much. But in other markets where it's drier, you don't have to worry too much about rust, then these are actually surprisingly good. So if you're in the market for one, definitely take a look and make sure that it's had the maintenance and it's in good shape, because there are a lot of them. And I'm still surprised at how many of these I see on the road. In any given day, I will see a number of Mark 1, Mark 1.5 Focuses on the road. And it's always nice to see, and I see a lot of them actually in this configuration, the green with the wagon. So it is nice. I'm hoping to hit up a junkyard at some point, because if I do need to use this during the winter, these absolutely garbage Chinese winter tires on here will not cut it. So I'm going to be looking at replacing, maybe getting a second set of rims with some better tires on it, working on the winter tires as well. I'll probably just keep these steel rims and buy some good winter tires for it, because that's always the key too. But it's been great. I've enjoyed it. It's not the car I wanted, but it's the car that I've got. And now that I sold the BMW 7 Series, I am no longer the owner of a BMW 7 Series. I am now the owner of a Ford Focus wagon. So I need to make sure that it's actually worth saying. If not, I'm just going to say that I don't drive anything. So that's my car. If you have any questions about it, please let me know. Like I said, I've been keeping up on the maintenance and everything on it. It's been working well. We do drive it, so I'm going to have better ideas of how this is longer term. But so far, after 14 months and only 1,400 kilometers, it has been pretty decent. So let me know in the comments below if there's anything you'd like to know about this specific car or anything about it. You can give a thumbs up to the video if you liked it. This is a bit of a different video because I believe we've actually made it through the whole video without having to cut anything. So it's basically just been one long monologue as we went from the exterior into the inside, but that's what you get. So thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.